Hello and welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC and your dirty reminder that the Reds are Premier League champions. And isn't that a tremendous thing? The saga that we knew was ending a specific way has finally ended in that specific way, with Trent Alexander-Arnold announcing that he will leave the club at the end of the season. We all knew this was coming. The timing is really odd. Why you would do it now with 3 games left is just very strange. I don't think it's right to call him a rat. I don't think it's right to call him a snake. I don't think it's right to call him a traitor. But on the flip side, there's no doubt this tarnishes his legacy with the club. And we've seen a multitude of takes on the Trent situation over the last 24 hours, some from Liverpool-connected people, some from people deciding to tell Liverpool fans how to feel. And I always find that a little bit odd. Like, I find it really strange when Henry Winter, whose only connection to Liverpool is that he did once reside inside the anus of Roy Hodgson, who was once Liverpool manager. Henry Winter said Liverpool fans basically have no right to criticise Trent. And his argument was, well, Kevin Keegan once left. Well, that's chalk and cheese, Henry. You can't compare Kevin Keegan to Trent. And here's why. First things first, we bought Kevin Keegan. We signed him from Scunthorpe. He was only at the club for 6 years. Now, it was a very successful 6 years. He won 3 league titles, an FA Cup, a European Cup, and 2 UEFA Cups. And Kevin Keegan is one of the best players in our history, and that's all well and good. But when Kevin Keegan left, he did it the right way. He told the club he wanted to go. He made it clear he wanted to go and experience something else. That he wanted to go and play in Europe, which wasn't something a lot of British players had done at that point. And when we sold Kevin Keegan, we got a British record transfer fee of £500,000 for it. We used that money to sign Kenny, Alan Hansen, and Graham Souness, because we knew for a year that he was leaving, but we knew he was leaving the right way. He was walking out the front door with his head held high. Now, it didn't get finalised until the last week of the season, but we knew, the club knew Keegan was going. The club knew they were set to get a big sum of money, and they were able to start planning with that money. And they went to sign 3 of the best players who've ever played for the club to replace one of the best players who's ever played for the club. Trent has known, I believe, for at least 2 years that he was leaving this summer. And I would imagine the club have known for a year or more that he was going to leave. But the club didn't have a vehicle to get money back for him. Because people have said, well, why didn't Liverpool try and sell him last summer? You can try and sell players all you want. They don't have to leave the club. And if he decided he was going to go on a free, because one of the things he wanted to ensure was that he got a huge signing fee, which is what he'll get, probably somewhere in the region of 25 to 30 million from Real Madrid. then he was never going to agree to a transfer. He was going to wait, see out his contract, and leave. And he says it's the hardest decision of his life. I'm sure it was when he made it 2 years ago. I've seen people say you can't question his attitude. We've all watched the lad play. We watched those last 2 years under Jurgen and how horrendous his attitude was when we didn't have the ball. We watched the Everton game, the United game this season. We all saw that. And that game, while it was the worst example of Trent not giving a shit, is not the only example of Trent not giving a shit across the last number of years. The Keegan comparison was stupid. And you know Henry Winter was scraping the bottom of the barrel when that's what he came up with. The more obvious comparisons are McManaman and Owen. But as I've said before, Owen left with a year left on his contract. He told the club, look, I want to go, sell me, or I'm going to end up leaving for free. And the club got a terrible deal because the club negotiated a terrible deal. But Owen leaving in that manner didn't warrant the abuse that he got. And it's not the reason that Michael Owen is largely disliked by the Liverpool fan base. The reason he's disliked is because he signed for Manchester United. 6 years later? Something like that. Something like 6 years later. The cleaner comparison is Steve McManaman, who made this exact same move 26 years ago. Like Trent, an academy player. Like Trent, beloved by the fans. Owen never had that connection with the fans the way McManaman and more pertinently Fowler and Gerrard and Carragher did. Because he wasn't a Scouser. And he was always England's Michael Owen. And he was great for us and he was loved, but he didn't have that really deep, intense connection that the others had had. But McManaman did and Trent does. But McManaman is a totally different category as well. Because McManaman had been let down by the club over and over and over again, and we were wasting his career. Liverpool Football Club were wasting the career of Steve McManaman, who'd been the best player in England for a couple of years. He'd been our best player for most of the 90s. He was outrageously good. And then the club tried to sell him behind his back. So having been let down over and over and over again, the club then tried to stab him in the back. Steve McManaman had plenty of reasons to want to leave. And while it was very unpopular and remains unpopular that he did it, you sit down and think about it, it's very hard to take the club's side over his side. But too often we get caught up in defending the club, which is what we should do in most cases, but sometimes we do have to recognize that the club are the ones who are in the wrong. With McManaman, the club were in the wrong. With Owen, the club just botched the sale. With Sterling, the club were more in the wrong than Raheem was. People don't want to hear that. People just like to call Raheem Sterling a snake and boo him and whatever else. But the people that people should be annoyed with are Ian Ayre and Brendan Rodgers. Because they're the ones who betrayed the trust of a young player. They're the ones that tried to make the whole thing play out in the media. They're the ones that told lies to journalists in the Echo who were willing to print those lies. Now, Raheem wasn't completely blameless, and his agent is a terrible set of lads, as most agents are. Because their job is not to get the best deal for the club. Their job is to look after the best interests of the player. Make the player as much money as possible. Give the player the best opportunities available. So when Liverpool created the rift between club and player, and it was the club that created the rift, A.D. Ward stepped in there and said, right, well, what else is out here? Well, there's Manchester City. They're willing to pay Raheem a lot more money than Liverpool. They invest in their team a lot more. There's a better starting position here. You're going to play with better players. Oh, and also, look at the moves they're making off the pitch. Look at the people they're hiring and where they're hiring them from. They're setting up to get their next manager. And everybody knew it was an open secret that Pep was going to go to City. Everybody knew for 2 years that Pep was going to go to City. Pellegrini won a league title. And that summer, 2014, everybody knew Pep is coming in 2 years. Everybody knew. Because City had made the moves off the pitch to get his people in place. He was rumored to be involved in some of the transfer dealings they did in the summer of 14 and 15 before he arrived in 16. Like, there's a reason when we fired Rodgers that we didn't try at all for Pep. That in the previous summer, when we considered firing Rodgers, summer of 15, that we didn't try for Pep. Because we knew. Everybody knew. It was an open secret that he was going to City. So A.D. Ward definitely knew that. When he said to Raheem, listen, do you want to stay here and play for this guy, Brendan Rodgers? Or do you want to go over there and play for Pep Guardiola? It's like being asked, do you want to go on a date with Susan Boyle or Angelina Jolie? Or whatever you young people would use as an equivalent. Nothing against Susan Boyle, by the way. She's got a tremendous voice, but you get my point. But the thing with Trent is, like, people have said, oh, but look at the trophies he's won. Yeah, look at the trophies he's won. He's won 2 league titles. He's won an FA Cup. He's won a League Cup. He's won a Champions League. He's won them because of the team that's been around him. He hasn't won them by himself. He's been given world-class teammates to play with. McManaman was not given that, barring the ones that came through the academy. Same went for Owen. Gerrard got some after, because Rafa signed some. But the only world-class players that Gerrard had played with at Liverpool prior to Rafa's arrival were Owen, academy. Did he catch the tail end of McManaman, academy? Sammy was borderline world class, I would say. I think that's fair. We signed him. And Marcus Babbel, who was world class for us for a year. I think Didi Hamann was really, really good, but I think he was a level below world class. He was a really good player, but don't think he was quite world class. We just didn't get the players in. But for Trent, we did. You know, he played with Alisson, Virgil, Fabinho, Sadio, Bobby, and Mo. McManaman and Owen were asked to carry Liverpool teams. Trent never had to carry a team. They were by far the best players in their teams. Trent's never been one of the 3 best players in his own team. So again, he doesn't have reason to leave the club. You can argue, yes, there's reason to go to Real Madrid. And of course, there absolutely are. It's the biggest club in the world. I can fully understand Trent wanting to go to Real Madrid, but there's a way you can go about it which doesn't completely stiff the club that gave you everything.
The Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at anfieldindexpro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that, from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.